Okay.
Yo, this is the Queen Aziza Nubia, and we are back for another Hustle and Motivate segment, Money Mondays, sponsored by New York Life Insurance. I am your host, Aziza Nubia, and I'm here with financial service professionals, David Mueller. We have had an amazing series. If you have been, following us, we've been learning a lot when it comes to financial literacy and just understanding. Um, how to build generational wealth, things to look out for. And I'm telling you, it has been a great experience for me. I'm learning so much, David, first off. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm excited about the topic we'll be talking about today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share it as well. I think we've got a lot of information to kind of cover today, and kind of going to rehash a little bit of last week, but I think it'll go well.
Okay. So, just so you guys know that normally we do this live and we can interact with your comments as you have them during the conversations, but we are pre-recording. So we will, just make sure if you have any questions, you leave them in the comments because we will be, checking them and being able to answer them. And so let's get into our conversation. Today we have like the topic, just the topics in itself seems like a lot. We're talking about short term versus long term gains when it comes to taxable income, correct?
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was just kind of lost trying to find the slide here.
Oh, you're good.
Um, it's hiding from me. Also, there we go. Okay, let's make sure this pulls up. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Shoot,
Yeah,
sorry.
you're okay.
They pulled up now. um, let's see.
And guys, if you have any comments or questions or anything, make sure you leave them. Make sure you share this. We're trying to get this information to as many people as possible. I think you're ready up here now.
All
All
right,
right.
so yeah, what we want to start off here is just which I probably should have slid in here last week, and that's just 5 things every woman should know about financial literacy.
Okay.
And it's just gonna be a little, 5 steps on how to, achieve your goals, and then we'll slide into the different taxes and how that affects your wealth generation.
Okay.
All right, so step one is you want to set smart financial goals. So you want to make sure that you're saving, and just when you, sorry, I'm struggling here. It's still a little early, but you just don't want to do things that are, too out there. Like I've seen some people that want to have $1 million in 10 years. I mean, it is still possible, but in all reality, like that's less likely, than most things. So you can always have that $1 million. Just got to have a plan to get there. So you want to be specific with what you want to do. And again, they have to be measurable goals, achievable, realistic, and timely. So if your plan is in 5 years to, put down money on your first house or put money on your first business adventure, that's definitely achievable. And there's ways to get there. But again, you just want to be realistic about what your goals are.
Okay.
And you want to maximize your pre-tax and tax advantage contributions. So every year, whether it's with your employer or even for yourself, because if you have a business, there are ways to set up a tax deferred plan, kind of like similar to a 401k, but it's more for like sole props and, pass through entities. And excuse me. But if there's a contribution limit, like with a key plan, that's kind of what I was talking about with for business owners. You can only put up 25% of your business income into
Mm-hmm.
that plan, or uh, I think the limit for this year is 66,000. So it's a little more than what you could put into an IRA, but that's because you're a business owner. So just to help you out more on that end. So let me slide down here a little bit more and go in more specifically on these in a minute. And you want to make sure that you protect your most valuable assets, especially yourself and your business. So whether that is disability, or God forbid, the worst happened to you and you pass away, you want to make sure that your home and your mortgage is, protected to where you're, whoever you want that to go to, whether it's kids, a spouse, etc., that, they don't get left, holding the bag essentially.
Gotcha.
Kind of where we come in to kind of help explain more of that. And you want to develop, savvy investment strategy. So you want to have that right mix, where there's diversifying, your buckets, or, again, just you want to set those goals and make sure that whether it's having that 3 to 6 month cushion if something happens to you, or, for your business, you want to make sure you have money on hand to be able to, make those purchases as needed. And you want to make sure that you have the right risk tolerance, because some people, you might be a risky investor, but there might be things that you need to protect in the, short and long term. So you want to make sure you have the right plan for all those. And then, of course, the big one that, affects a lot of people, and I hear this all the time about their credit score, and that's their biggest fears, and that's why they always want to pay their debts down first. And, again, going into that 50, 30, 20, that is something that you can do. And it's very understandable to want to take care of your credit first, because your credit is what affects a lot of your purchases. And, that APR can really affect your ability to do things. I know with my card, I'm probably paying twice its value because of the rate I had to pay when I, bought it. My credit score was not pretty.
Okay. So those were some amazing tips that, ladies, all of us need to know, especially, I know Black entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs are like that growing, the growing, what's the word? The growing,
I want to say market.
Growing group, of entrepreneurs and business owners in America. And, in order to obtain and keep your business successful, these tips are super good to know. And they seem easy. And sometimes I know, like, hearing this stuff, I'm noticing how I don't like to do this stuff, because it's like just really disciplining yourself to just, you just want to get your money and just spend it on what you want. But if you're really serious about your financial future, and not just the now and the moment, but you have a plan. That's like the biggest thing, having a goal and having plans for your finance. That's the only way you're going to grow it, So I'm grateful for this information, but I know a lot of people are like, but I'm telling you guys, if you really, really focus on these things 2-3 years from now, you're going to be thanking yourself today for taking this seriously.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, going back to that first, point, right? It's all about being realistic. Just make sure that you're able to make your goals and make them happen. Anybody can do it. You just have to be disciplined, like you said. So, thank you. All right. So let me go to the next one here. Make sure I got it right. So the next step here is I'm going to go over the financial pyramid.
Okay.
That's the wrong one. Eventually, I'll stop fumbling around like an old person here.
It's Monday. Money Monday.
Facts.
I'm glad to have everybody tuning in today. This is like our third segment. So it has been a lot of amazing information. I know people have been calling me saying, I'm learning so much, things I never thought about, things I never knew. And it just really takes, builds on your financial knowledge.
I'm happy. Yeah, no, exactly. And the biggest thing is I just want to get this information out for people and, make sure they learn, because, the more you know, the more you grow, right?
Exactly.
So this one's just the, financial pyramid and kind of ways to help you, visualize how you want to cover your investments. Okay. So, of course, you start with your needs. That's at the top. And then you want to have, progressive objectives in terms of, estate conservation. If you want to do charitable giving, make sure that your taxes are the most efficient as they can be. And of course, if you're a business and plan on passing on to your family members and leaving that legacy,
Mm-hmm.
that's where this kind of comes into play.
Okay.
Then of course, after you're progressive, you got your aggressive, and that's where you want to accumulate those funds, and that's where you want to diversify to reduce your risk. And if whether it's working for someone or working for yourself, you want to definitely maximize those qualified plan contributions. So whether that's again a key plan, uh, traditional or Roth IRAs, and of course 401ks, 403bs, and a few of those other different um, oh my god, tax deferrable assets. So you want to make sure that you cover yourself and protect yourself against inflation, and this is how you do it. Because of course, protecting your assets is great, but if you're putting all your money into a savings account and expecting that to save you, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So again, you want to maximize those contributions, so that way, on the back end of things, you got a lot of money sitting there waiting for you. But you also don't want to overfund them, and by that I mean you don't want to put if you have an employer that's doing a 5% match, you want to do the 5%. You don't want to do 7 or 8%, because that's money that you're losing to a lack of control over that investment. So that's where your personal IRAs or brokerage plans are going to come into play.
Okay.
And then after that, you got your offensive objectives, and that's more of just preparing for the future. So emergencies, college education, retirement, those big purchases that you want to make, like if it's another home, an office, even if it's a new vehicle, that's where you want to make sure that you have a plan to be able to obtain those things. And then, with your defensive objectives, just protecting the heat down, kind of going back to, that estate conservation. You want to make sure you know what you earn. You want to, whether that's having, I can't think of the people right now, but, your adjusters that come in and go over your house and, see how much it's worth. But yeah, you want to just make sure that you're, protecting what you're doing, making sure that you have a plan, and, you're able to obtain these goals, and, just knock out those and chip away at those debts that you have.
Okay. So we got to go over that. That was a lot. I hope y'all have.
Sorry, I kind of just, yeah.
No, I wanted you to get through it, because I was going to come back with the questions that I'm thinking people will probably want to know. So it's all good. So the needs and pyramid are like just the things you need day to day.
Yep.
Food, cell phone bill pay, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's your 50%, right?
Okay. Yep, the 50%. And then the progressive objectives are I guess things that help you save with taxes. Am I getting that? I'm trying to condense it so it seems like in layman terms.
Yeah, so like for instance, like with charitable donations, you're actually able to offset some of your your income, because you can write it off against your taxes every year.
Okay.
Yeah, you just get a tax credit for that. So that's where they got tax efficiency. So it's just showing in ways how you can. Sorry, I just had the word and I just lost it. But like I said, it's just showing ways how you can kind of save money while still growing. So again, yeah, like you said, it's just that tax efficiency, those write-offs that you can put in there.
Okay.
Continuation. So just showing ways how you can give that to your family without having to pay the most money, or just even like capital gains taxes, things like of that nature.
Okay. I'm getting it. Okay. So aggressive is the things you do to build your wealth, build your fortune. Like going there out to get it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like that's your money. Like where it says like overpower inflation. So if you buy a house and you just plan on buying that house, you only need to have money also to offset. Because if you have a house and it just happens to be in the area that, I mean, that's the risk and reward of real estate is you hold on to it, too long in the wrong, place and time, that money can go down because if your neighbors don't take care of their homes, like it can be affected by that, or it can go up. So there's, that's a positive, negative, like anything. It's a gamble. You just want to make sure that you're giving yourself the best odds when you do roll that dice.
Okay. Okay. And then offensive is, or the offense. Is that I'm saying that right? Offensive.
Offensive, yeah. I know. I said offensive, so yeah. It's like no, it's offensive.
Offensive objectives are things you do prepare for the future: college tuition, retirement.
There's
all that.
529 plans, 401k, IRAs, and again, like buying a home. Even just like how are you addressing that? Because if you're looking to save money to buy a house, but you want to buy a house, in a year, and your income is 35,000, it's going to be a little more difficult for you to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just again, just making sure that you have a plan to be able to address what you want. And that's where the defensive objectives come in, because if you know what you're making and you know what you have and you know what you owe those debts on, it's a lot easier for you to come up with a plan on how to get there and get what you want.
Okay. And you just broke down the defensive. So how does a person who has never heard of any of these things apply this to their finances? Like, where do you start when it comes to adding this information?
Yeah, I guess again it goes back to that budget sheet that we sent out before or a couple weeks ago, right? Start with that, so that way you know what your budget and what your your overhead is, and that way you can kind of come up with a plan to get what it is that you're looking to have, whether it's a car, even. Because again, right, we talked about it before. It's tax season. People are getting their their refund checks back, and the first thing you see, I mean, yesterday there was so many 30-day tags out there. It's crazy, and every time it's like it's a brand new car or something that you just know that it's like if you weren't able to afford that before, why are you buying that now with a check and yeah, you can't cash later on, at least without having a plan. I mean, if you know what you have and you're doing that, like good on you, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're just buying it because you have the money right now, like that's not a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. So it's yeah. So okay. So
yeah, just have a plan and be just have that control, right? Like you said, be disciplined.
Yeah, which is gosh, I'm a Libra. I love shop, love stuff. Okay, I got it. I hope you guys are taking this down. This is definitely a great way to start viewing our financial future and being able to plan our path to financial success. So this is good. The financial pyramid, guys. I know people are gonna want this. Like you're just gonna have to email me the
Oh yeah, no, I was
so
gonna say
I can send to people because this is I know they're gonna say, "Can I just get that?" I tried to screenshot it.
Yeah, no problem. I would say pretty much most of these, even like the 5 things that women need to know, right? Like Pamela's sending all these out. So I was actually about to ask, like, am I able to keep this screen up and then add another one?
You can try it.
Right. Okay. Cool. Let's see how it goes. Oh yeah, no, it's saying stop screen. Darn it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope you guys are just enjoying this information. It's like adding because these are the things that were not ever taught to me growing up. We didn't like I don't remember taking financial literacy courses in high school, or I didn't go into finances in college, but I think the most they taught you economics. Economics class. I did take accounting, so I do know a little bit about that, but
Oh yeah, no, it's because even like I remember, can't even remember what the course was called, but it was just one of those courses where it's supposed to get you ready to go out into the world, right? It was like a 1 credit course or whatever. I just needed it to graduate and have that 1 hour, but it they went over none of that. Like even when they went over how to do your like resume and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
it really wasn't, too much insight, like copy and paste, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I do definitely think that our country could do a better job of just getting people ready for adulthood. Because if you don't go
Yeah.
to college and you don't take any of those classes, then you definitely ain't going to learn anyway, right? So it's just,
Right.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. But definitely this information has definitely helped. Just I feel prepared. I kind of feel like I have direction now. And I
Awesome.
hope that's what you guys are experiencing by, tuning in and just grabbing some information, and hopefully you're doing your due diligence by applying and then learning more information. Um, some people, some people be out here hurting when we don't gotta hurt. There's resources out there, information for us to learn.
Exactly. And that's what I plan on getting here, whether it's in a couple weeks, it might be next month, but just trying to get some people out on the screen and talking about grants that are out there, things that you can try and get a hold of, to start that business, or if you have started a business, you can get access to it to, give yourself a little bit of help and to help others, right? Like that's what it's all about. It's just sharing the spirit of helping. No greedy people over here.
Right.
All right. So it's on this screen now, right? As far as the retirement income sources and just how
Yep.
it works. All right, awesome. Which we kind of covered last week in terms of like, a lot of people think that a 401k is all they need, and they can buy with savings and Social Security. But obviously, as times have changed and they're going to continue to change, it's definitely good to know where it's at and what's going on. So, going back to those three buckets, right? You got your taxable, tax deferred, and tax free. So, and tax free means tax never. I think it's the best part. I think that's my favorite, obviously. But there are things where you're going to have to pay your taxes, unfortunately. So right here, I'd like to think it's a good way of looking at it as well. And I'll make sure to share this with you, in the email. So I'm kind of going to breeze through this one a little bit more just because there's a lot of slides to it. But, of course, if anyone wants access, we're happy to show them. Okay. So, yeah, again, you got 1, 2, and 3. So you got your tax deductible, tax deferred, and tax free. So the good thing about where it's saying tax deductible is if you have a business, there are ways to write off with, losses against the taxes that you would normally pay without it.
Okay.
So, but again, that's where a CPA is a lot more helpful than I am, because I am definitely not licensed in this, but we do have the ability to kind of, show people how it works. So,
Yeah, like I know from day one since we started this, guys, the number one thing was getting you a good CPA. Exactly. You don't have to figure this stuff out on your own.
Yeah, don't go to TurboTax. I can't remember what the other one is that does H&R Block. There we go. Yeah, don't go to them. I mean, if you're going to do like with a person, like that might not be terrible, but you still want to probably find something in your area.
Yeah, especially if you're a business owner, get you CPAs on staff.
It's definitely worth the investment because the money that they can save you probably will offset any money that you have to pay them that year.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, again, going back to the buckets, there aren't as many options for tax free. So that's where it's kind of helpful to, know what this is. But, again, you got your tax deductible and your tax deferred. So if you are a business owner, that's where that key plan comes in, or even like profit sharing with your employees, those are ways to offset the income that you normally would take in as a business. Same thing with your traditional IRA, 401k plan, because you're paying into those ahead of time. You're paying, your current taxes on them. So, but with your tax deferred plans, that's where you're paying your money in, but it's not going to actually be taxed till when you actually take the money out.
Mhm.
Just typically, around or a little bit before retirement if you absolutely need it, but I would not recommend touching that money at all, because if you do, you're not only going to pay your tax rate if it's like before 59 and a half, you're going to pay your current tax rate at that time, and you're going to pay a 10% penalty from the federal government because of you taking it out too early.
Mm. Okay.
So, which again, with the key plan, like for business owners, you can set that up on a tax deferred basis as well. But at some point, you are going to have to pay your taxes on it. So, depending on what kind of, I mean, right now, taxes are a little bit low. So, I wouldn't be a terrible idea to pay into those plans on, um, on a tax deductible rate. But again, it just kind of depends on how you want to roll those dice. And that's where we always have those conversations too, just to make sure that people are aware of what's going to happen when they make that investment and how it's going to pan out for them.
Okay.
But and then your tax free, like I said, that's your smaller amount of choices, but your Roth, of course, is one of them. A 529 plan as well. And because of the recent changes, if you have a 529 plan and your kid decides not to go to college or anything, you can roll that over into a Roth, and it just grows tax free as well. Um, and of course, municipal bonds, those are a little different. You don't really see those too much anymore, but essentially what that is state or local municipality. I mean, it could even be a county. It just depends on who's selling them, but they're municipal bonds that help fund a project that's going on in that area. And with that, long as you hold them, they're going to be tax free. And the only way that you could pay taxes on them are if, let's say, you live in like California or Ohio, even, and you buy municipal bonds in Kentucky. Because it's in a different state, you're going to be required to pay like a state tax on that. But it's still not, there's like still no federal taxes though.
Okay.
And of course, you got your cash value life insurance, which that could be whole life, variable life, universal policy as well, which is kind of a set rate, but sometimes it can be cheaper than whole life. So some people like to go with those. It just depends on what your plan is and how you want to get there.
Okay.
Of course, this is where it goes back to what I was saying about the tax rates. Like right now, tax rates are pretty low. So, but sorry, go ahead.
What causes tax rates to go up?
It's a good.
Like, do you think it's like the time and what's happening in the world with the governments and things of that nature?
Yeah, just the needs. And as you can see, like going back, if you're, an you know, uh, upper tiers of the tax rate, you're paying anywhere from, 75% back in 1917. That's back during the antitrust days when Teddy Roosevelt was trying to bust, Rockefeller and all them. So they're trying to, make the wealthy pay their share, right? And then in 1925 to 29, even like in 33, that's back when you had the Great Depression. So they're trying to alleviate on people,
Okay.
so that just kind of ease that burden. But then again, right after that was back during the new era with FDR. So they started raising those tax rates again because a lot of projects, Social Security was introduced during that time, and they needed ways to fund it. And then, of course, when it was at its highest, that was back during World War II. So they just were funding the war and, had to beat them Nazis, right?
Right.
And, during even the 50s, there was just a lot of projects going on at the time. Like you had the interstate and the highway system that was built during the Eisenhower days. And over time, they lowered it as we were, there was less going on other than you had like Vietnam and things of that nature. But inflation had gotten so bad that you had Reagan come in 81, and his answer was he was one of the first ones to start lowering that tax rate on a high scale.
Okay.
20% rate that it dropped, and then after that he dropped it again. I guess he was looking for re-election. It was down at its lowest, and that was back to what 28% at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And with that inflation that kind of came, during those times, that's what they were doing. Is they were just trying to eat again. It was like ease that burden on people, but over time, it's went back up a little bit. It
Mm-hmm.
goes back in 2019, but chances are with that 31 trillion dollar deficit, they're going to have to raise it again to chip away at that chunk. Because if we continue to go up and don't pay it, that's going to have ramifications for the whole world. And so they're going to have to do something to change it.
Mm.
That's the highest marginal income. So most people, even with this, it's always kind of stayed around 30 to 40%, for like the lower income. Sometimes lower than that, but it just, yeah, again, it just depends on where your income's at. But tax rates usually go up overall. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was a good explanation, because I know some people probably wonder what makes the rates go up and down and how the world affects it. And something that we need to prepare for, especially the more of us that are making more wealth. I know in our community, generational wealth is the key right now. So in order to you want to be able to maintain your wealth, you don't want to just continue to pay your wealth to taxes and being taxed because you make more money. um, Not to say that you shouldn't pay your taxes, but it's just, it's always good to offset some of those costs, because the more money you make, the more it gets pretty a hefty penny.
Yeah, I think was like 30% like flat tax right now on businesses, and
Yeah.
then depending on how you how you set it up, if you have an LLC versus a sole prop, um, like a sole prop and like other individual like pass through entities, like those they just typically operate off your income. So if you're someone who's bringing in 300, $400,000 a year, and you're being taxed at the typical like income rate, I mean, you're still going to pay almost 40% of your taxes away to just Uncle Sam just wanting it, that chunk. So you definitely want to find ways to write that off and lower your income, so that way when that tax rate does come in, you can say, hey, like I lost money this year, or I didn't make that much, and they adjust because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how Bezos and all them boys are able to get away with paying less taxes than I did last year.
Yeah.
Just yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I can rant on for days. Sorry, but yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's right here kind of gives another explanation of how the tax rate is.
Okay.
So, and then from which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, obviously, with inflation, incomes have changed and how it's adjusted. But back in '80, and if you're making over 215,000, you're paying 70% of your income in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's 647,000. So, I mean, you still got a ways to go before you have to pay a lot of money into that, into that income bracket. But even then, I mean, you definitely want to know what you're looking to have to pay every year. And this kind
Right.
of, so that way you know what your budget is, what you have to put money away for. I mean, especially I know there's a lot of like DoorDash and Instacart drivers out here, and a lot of people just as soon as they get that that daily income from it, they go and spend all of it, and don't think about what's going to happen at the end of the year when they have to file.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's where that, yeah, diversification comes in.
Okay, guys. I hope you guys have been just really soaking up this information. Like I said, it prepares you for more. And that's what we're all looking to get. We want to understand this. You want to roll with the big dogs. You got to know the how things work and the information that goes towards it. So, like I said, it's just adding to more to my financial knowledge, and it's really changing how I look at my finances. And I know it should be doing the same for you guys.
Yeah, and then I'll go ahead and stop sharing this one. We'll go over to the next couple. I mean, honestly, just because of what I've mostly covered in that one, I'll just go to these images here, and this kind of lets people know about how. Let me see. Just in terms of capital gains, I know that that was mostly what the subject was going to be today, but in all reality, it just breaks down to that same diversification conversation, and we're going to kind of continue to rehash on that. But I'm going to kind of explain like what different assets fall into like long-term and short-term capital gains. So let me make sure I can pull this up. I don't think it's in here. All right. So is that showing up?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. So with short-term capital gains, essentially what happens is it gets treated as your normal income. So what that would be is whether it was the sale of stocks, bonds, real estate, if you decide to sell your business. There's a lot of different ways that this comes into play, but the biggest thing that you want to know is if you do sell it short term, which what that means is within a year of holding, you get, you know, depending on what you're doing, how much it is, you can get waxed, to be honest. It can be pricey. So like, let's say you decided to buy a house and the house is worth $200,000 and then you sold it for, $300,000, but you did that. Like, 'cause I know a lot of people, like when the market was going crazy a couple, 2 years ago, even now it's going crazy, but they'll turn around and, um, sell one of those houses. They don't realize that that's something you're going to get taxed on. And if you do that within a year, like that $100,000 that you took in, that's going to get taxed. So if it's, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I could get pretty hefty. Like,
you get taxed for selling a house?
mm-hmm, because it's income. So anything that's a gain
Okay.
on the original, like the original cost of when you purchase it, like that's what you get taxed on. So same thing with like stock appreciation, and different, like just different assets. So if it's I'm trying to think of other assets besides real estate and stocks, but even like mutual funds, exchange traded funds, because those are honestly pretty much the same thing. But if you have those set up, or you go through, like Vanguard or Fidelity, and then you just decide to put money like into a brokerage account, but not in an actual retirement account, you're going to get taxed on any gains that happen within that. Especially because like what happens with those funds is you have a fund manager, and let's say something starts to go bad with one stock, they'll sell those and buy another, and it might be pennies on the dollar, et cetera, but you do get taxed on that. And then you get taxed when you sell it as well. Like let's say you want to cash out on it and just, be done. You get taxed on it. And that's where knowing those different ways is kind of offset through your CPA, and like write off his losses comes into play. But yeah.
Okay.
So depending on how much it was, it can, let's say you sold it and you somehow doubled the price of the house and got paid that. You could pay 32% in taxes. So that could be, $50,000, $60,000 that you'd have to pay that year. So if you're out here selling houses, make sure that you're, you know, that you're putting money away for it. But again, if you hold it for a year, which is actually something that my mom's doing with the house that they're getting ready to flip, the tax rate goes down. Let's see, I'll pull this up just to show this example. Let me see. Okay, cool. That's where that long-term tax rate comes into play. So, if it's, only 40, 50,000, or well, not 50,000, but, let's say you're filing single, right? And you only make 25, 30,000 off the sale of those assets, you're going to pay 0%. And if you're married, see, it sucks to be single, but yeah, if you're married with someone, you get up to $80,000 in terms of not having to pay taxes. But once you go over that threshold, you're going to pay anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending on how much you gain that year.
Okay. So they tax you on the short term gains, and that's like real estate and things like that, and then the long term is just like for the whole year.
If you hold it for over a year, so anything over a year and longer. So let's say you hold it for 10 years, right? I mean, of course, capital gains taxes could change, but as long as they don't, you're looking at, depending on how much it is at that year. Like, yeah, if it's, as long as it's not anything above 40,000, or if you're married by that point, you get 0% rate. It's only once you go above like that 80,000, or which all the 80,000 is really just double what a single person brings in. But still, you can kind of dodge those taxes that way. And also, if you're a head of household, you get a little bit of a break as well. So that's always nice. But again, those tax rates could be 15, 20%. Because like I said, if you hold it for 10 years and that house, or you have a couple houses and you bring in over 440,000, that's the only time that you'll pay that 20% rate. But even then, like 20% versus 30 or 40, what was that? 37% tax rate. I mean, that's 15, 17% that you're saving in terms of what you have to give Uncle Sam. So it's always good to know that, a little bit of information.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of mostly it, I want to say, in terms of just, because that's why I wanted to save the best for last, because it was obviously it's the easiest one to kind of cover, because as long as you're where you fall in on that filing status and where you fall in that range, that's where it affects your tax rate. And you definitely want to make sure that, I mean, if you're on month 11 and you might need that money, like, try to find a way just to wait one more month, because it's going to highly affect what you're bringing in and what you have to pay out.
Okay. Wow. Man, government. The Uncle Sam ain't nothing to play with.
He's always gonna get his, and he's a greedy uncle. That's for dang sure.
Man, goodness gracious. So you definitely, sorry, my light fell off. You definitely need to know. And thank you so much for that information. So wow, we covered a lot of information today. Everything from, like, it's a lot. I have to go back and watch the video how much information that we covered today, but it has definitely added just to the bulk of information that has been given, with the ultimate goal of getting people more financially illiterate, understanding why you need financial instruments and tools like life insurance policies, why you need to invest in CPAs, why you need financial advisors, because you need these to generate and to maintain it. And everybody who has the wealth that a lot of us inspire to follow, you know, the LeBron James, the Jay-Z's, Beyonce's, you can guarantee that they have the CPAs. They have a team of financial advisors. They understand tax rates. They make decisions based upon how they will be taxed. They have CPAs because that's how you are able to maintain your wealth. Because you have to think about it and all the information, like all the work that we do and put into ourselves, the meditation, the prayer, the eating right, and all that good stuff. You have to do the same for your financial health because that's the only way it's going to grow. So I'm just excited for this series because we're able to share this information that I know people don't really talk about or think about or even know about.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And you know, kind of like you said, you know, the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's and LeBrons of the world, not only do they have this team of experts in their circle, but they're on them. You know, they make sure to communicate with them, you know, on a, if not a week to week basis, at least, you know, once a month, and make sure they know where their money's going. And if that person's not taking care of them, they swap them out. You know, you can't be upset about what happens with your money if you're not being on top of it yourself, because you just can't. It's not that you can't count on others to take care of you, but you also need to take care of yourself at the same time, because if you're not on top of your game, like, you can't be mad at what happens.
Yeah. Most definitely, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Money Monday series. Make sure you go by Facebook and follow David under his Facebook business page. You can also contact him via email. I know he would love to do some consultations and just help talk to you guys about, you know, your financial goals. How can you, you know, start to use the financial pyramid in your life? Where do you start? All of us need direction. So make sure you definitely check him out. Make sure you also subscribe to Natural Woman Magazine so you can get your free budget downloader. He said the very first thing is to start with, you know, your budget. See what you have coming in, manage and maintain what's going out, get some discipline. And that's I think that's the number one reason why I don't like none of my financial advisors that I've had, because it's like they force me to be disciplined and I don't want to be, but that's the only way. Like, now I get it. I'm like, okay, 5 years ago, be so much further if I just sat down and listened. But I didn't like those words of discipline and saving and don't. What you mean I can't buy my tickets to the Beyonce concert? Like,
Right.
what? So make sure you go to the website, download the budget, reach out to David, get your consultation in, and we're gonna be back next Monday. David, do you have any last words? Any, you know, last tips or resources you want to share with everybody?
No, I was gonna say, you know, if people don't really like emailing, you can always call or text me at 513-802-7746, and I'd be more than happy to respond. Half the time I'm better at texting than responding to my emails, but you know, just whatever's more comfortable for you. I would just love to help people out and make sure that they're achieving their goals. Because, like you said, right, you know, what do you mean I can't get this Beyonce ticket? If you'd have listened to your advisor 5 years ago, you'd be able to just like borrow that money from yourself and just not
Yes.
even, right?
Right. I didn't want to be disciplined. I didn't want to save and buckle down and really understand and take in this knowledge. And then I was paying for it at the time. So the fact that you guys have the opportunity to come to these live streams, get this information. You know, I hope you take advantage of the resources that we're offering. And again, thank you so much. We'll be back next Monday with another topic, more information. Make sure you comment in the comment section if you have any questions or if you have something that you don't understand that you would like more info, or just simply reach out to David and I know he'll get you on the right path and get you squared away. Until next time, everybody. Peace.